All right, we are live in beautiful sunny Florida. And today, fight fans, we are going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 127 for Doom versus Volkov in London, England. It's funny, man. There was all kinds of rumored main events for this card, mostly involving Michael Bisping, like a Bisping versus Vitor comes to mind. That was originally supposed to be the main event of this card, but man, Werdum versus Volkov is a sleeper of a fight, and I'm looking forward to that one a lot, man, because Alexander Volkov, without a doubt, has made huge improvements. And when we're talking about Fabricio Werdum, we're talking about a top 3 or 4 heavyweight of all time, arguably one of the best resumes in MMA altogether. One of the best grapplers in MMA. I mean, it's always a treat when we get to see Fabricio Werdum in the octagon, and I think against an up and coming, improving, exciting heavyweight like Alexander Volkov, I think that's an amazing main event, man. And co-main event, Jimmy Manuwa versus Jan Blachowicz. If their first fight didn't suck so much, I think people would be a lot more excited because in my opinion, I think we're going to get what the first fight should have been. I think we're going to get a good fight here in the co-main event for sure. And then we're just loaded with prospects like guys like Tom Dukan, Hakeem Dawodu, Magomed Ankalaev, um, even this dude Dmitry Sosnovski, who I'm going to have some words about. He could be something. You never know. But I like this card a lot from top to bottom. I do have 3 bets. And of course, looking to start that hot streak. I know I say it every week. I'm on a gold streak, guys. It fucking happens, man. It really sucks. But man, if you know the amount of work I put in, I have no doubt that's why I haven't quit doing this. That's why I have people come to me, dude. Why don't you quit? You're just losing so much. Man, I know the work I put in, and I know it's gonna turn around for me soon, and it's gonna happen this card. I'm just saying, man. Especially with these rock solid picks I got here. So gonna go from the card bottom to top here, man. So very first fight of the night, we got we're kind of a late replacement fight. We got Nasrat Haqparast minus 150 now, taking on Nad Narimani plus 130. Been watching this guy Nad Narimani for a long time now, and I've been high on this guy for a long time now. I actually picked him to upset Paddy Pimblett. He was like plus 180. I still kicking myself in the ass to this day for not betting him there, but it is what it is, man. And I think he's a live ass underdog here too, man. Nasrat Haqparast, dude's got skills, man. Dude's got potential. Dude's got a future. But let's be honest, this kid is and I actually can call this guy a kid because he's actually younger than I am. He's 22 years old. He was born like a month after me. He's super young, super green, has some potential, but man, this guy Nad Narimani, he's in his athletic prime. He's 28 years old, I believe. My laptop wouldn't run so slow. Yeah, okay, he's 30 years old. But I mean, man, I believe he has fought and beat the better competition than Nasrat. This guy was killing it on the regional scene, and I do think he's actually better everywhere. I think he can whoop Nasrat's ass on the feet here. I think Nad Narimani has the way superior striking. We'll see what happens, though, man. I would be taking the shot on Nad Narimani here, if not for 2 reasons. Obviously, 1, the extremely short notice, and 2, he was actually talking about retirement a couple weeks ago. This guy was talking about retirement, but he got the call. He's here, and opinion, the martial artist, the more groomed mixed martial artist is a plus 130 underdog, and I don't hate you at all if you were to take that. I still might even take that if it gets a little better. We'll see. But that being said, man, I think Nad Narimani can do a good job keeping this on the feet and outclassing Nasrat Haqparast on the feet. So Narimani here, via 57 decision, and I do think he is a good underdog play. I think I'm going to stay away from him betting wise, but take a good amount of Nad Narimani in DraftKings for sure. I think that's the way I'm going to go about him there because he is 7,900 on DraftKings, and I think that's good value there, man. I mean, even when it comes to the betting odds, this fight opened up pick'em, so I mean the fact that he's an underdog on DraftKings, that's just value right away, and I think the guy's better all around. So Nad Narimani 30-20 decision. So moving on to the next fight here, man, we got Dmitry Sosnovski minus 290 taking on Mark the Hand of Godbeer plus 245. One of my favorite nicknames in the MMA. Just the way it goes together with his last name. It's pretty funny to me, man. I know a lot of people think it's stupid, but it's funny to me. I get the humor. So if you go and look at his regional scene fights, two things jump out at me. The kid is I say kid, but we're talking about a grown 28-year-old man, and that's the thing. He is in his athletic prime and everything, but the things that jump off me, yeah, he is skilled. He's very strong. He hits like a truck, yada, yada, yada. But the other thing that jumps out at me is dude's pretty we'll just say he's on those Ukrainian supplements. That's all I'll say about that. But man, I think, and you look at the time off. Dmitry has not fought in what is it, about 3 years now, and nobody really knows why. If you know why, feel free to put it in the comments. I'd love to know why. My best reason is the guy transitioning off those Ukrainian supplements. The dude was juiced on the regional scene. Now he made it to the big show, and he's got to get off the stuff. That's why he's taking the time off. It's happened before. This is what happens with guys. They juice on the regional scene to pad a record, and then they come to the big show unjuiced, and then shit happens. So, I mean, Dmitry Sosnovski, even at a minus 290 favor here, would I be surprised if he went out there and took a big right hand to the face and got knocked out? I would not, man. But that all being said, he's a big favorite here for a rightful reason. Mark Godbeer is, I mean, not very good. He got taken down and subbed by the boxer and Justin Ledet. Don't get me wrong, Justin Ledet's a talented guy, but taking down guys down and subbing them isn't what Justin Ledet does. And Justin Ledet's a 205 pounder, for being honest, as well. So, I mean, Mark Godbeer, he's not good, man. And he should be on a fade list, but taking a guy at minus 290 that hasn't fought in 3 years, that probably is transitioning off the juice, it's just a gigantic pass for me, man. So I'm going to go with Dmitry. I'm going to say he gets it done by second round TKO. And I'm going to be staying away from this, not only in from a betting perspective, but I'm just going to fade this fight in DraftKings altogether. And it's not often I'll fade a heavyweight fight in DraftKings, but I kind of feel like there's a decent chance we might get one of those good old 3-round heavyweight slop fests. So happens, but no surprise here. I am going to go with the minus 290 favorite in Dmitry Sosnovski to win in his UFC debut. So moving on to the next fight here, man. I got some strong feelings about this one, man. We got Stevie Ray minus 185 taking on Cajun Johnson plus 160. I feel like Stevie Ray should be a 2-1 favorite here. Not betting him at the current price, it just doesn't feel right to me. It's not something I want to do. I already got my 3 solid bets in. I actually got those 3 bets in before Stevie Ray line became available. And when it came out, I'm just like, it's all good. Don't need to bet him here. But I will be taking a good amount of Stevie Ray and DraftKings. And I'm going to tell you why, man. So, first of all, I feel like if Cajun Johnson never got that gigantic upset over Adriano Martins, he'd be twice the underdog he is now. Stevie Ray would probably be like a minus 260 favorite in the spot. And I'm going to tell you why that this is just a completely different fight. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Stevie Ray, he would never beat Adriano Martins. It's different fights. MMA math doesn't work, guys. The thing is, Adriano Martins fought like a complete idiot in that fight. He did not throw. He walked Cajun Johnson down a little bit for sure, but he didn't throw, and he gave Cajun Johnson time to find his range and land the perfect shot about, 13, 14 minutes in. Adriano Martins, man, and I had a huge bet on Martins, and it was just frustrating me how he wasn't throwing because, man, Cajun Johnson, look at his record, man. The guy's been getting knocked out since 2002. I believe the guy is he's fragile. He's weak mentally. He's a quitter, and all you have to do is put some pressure on the guy, and he's gonna melt. And Adrian Martins, with all the skills he has, he just didn't want to do anything in the octagon with Cajun Johnson. And now, why I feel a little bit more comfortable here with a guy like Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray is a guy who puts on exciting fights, a guy who puts on pressure. And I think, this guy, Stevie Ray, who's in his athletic prime, he's 27, 28 years old. He's taken on this guy, like I mentioned, Cajun Johnson, who took his first knockout loss in 2002. This guy who is weak mentally, weak physically. I feel like anybody who puts some pressure on this guy who's got a decent amount of skills, which exactly Stevie Ray is, I feel like if Stevie Ray goes out there, throws, puts on pressure, he's going to knock out Cajun Johnson, and he's going to do it violently. I got Stevie Ray here via a first-round knockout. I trust him to go out there and do what Adriano Martins did. I feel like he can pressure Cajun, and Cajun's not going to be able to handle it, man. I really think very lowly of Cajun Johnson. He's obviously should be on everybody's fade list. The guy rarely fights, for another thing. This is a good fight for Stevie, man. And I do, like I mentioned, I feel like he should be 2-1, if not maybe a little bit more. There's probably some value on Stevie Ray at minus 185, and it was a little better at one point, minus 175, 165 at one point. So, I mean, some decent lines that you could have caught there, but I'm comfortably picking Stevie Ray here via first-round knockout, and just to make up for the fact that I'm not going to be betting him, I'm going to be going big on him in DraftKings. So I got Stevie Ray first-round knockout, and I hope you guys can hear me okay, because my mic is a little not how it usually is. Yeah, man. So Stevie Ray first-round knockout. Feel pretty comfortable with that pick there. So moving on to the next fight, man. We got the biggest favorite of the card, Magomed Ankalaev. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but minus 650, taking on Paul Craig plus 475. Start with Paul Craig. I mean, what can you say about the guy? He's got some decent grappling, man. He can pull off some really nice transitions, and I'm seeing him snap in some really nice submissions on the regional scene, and even in the UFC. I bet Paul Craig as an underdog, a big underdog against Luis Henrique Frankenstein there. But other than the grappling, what can you really say about this guy, Paul Craig? First of all, he's undersized for 205. Second of all, the striking is extremely sloppy. He has some decent clinch work, I'll give him that, but the striking is not there, man. And I mean, he's got the grappling on the ground, but he doesn't have the takedown defense either. So I kind of feel like, and shout out to my buddy Will Martin, he kind of mentioned that this would be the sequence to end the fight, and I completely agree with him. Is Paul Craig's going to go for one of those sloppy kicks. Magomed's going to catch it, land the takedown, ground and pound finish. So I got Magomed here via a first round ground and pound finish. I feel like once he gets Paul Craig on the ground, Paul Craig, he can grapple, man, but I just feel like he's at a big strength disadvantage here. I feel like Magomed could probably just overpower him on the ground despite having the grappling disadvantage. That is the one thing I'll give Paul Craig. He probably is the better pure grappler, but that's not going to matter here, man. Magomed's going to get him down. He'll be in the dominant position. He won't get reversed. He'll pound this guy out easily. Or, I mean, he really could just use the wrestling in reverse and keep it on the feet, because he whoops Paul Craig's ass on the feet there. So, I mean, the guy really is minus 650 here for a reason, but we're not out here looking to bet minus 650. So, pass from a betting perspective. He's actually decently priced on DraftKings. He may be the highest favorite, but I think he's the third most expensive player in DraftKings. So fighter on DraftKings. Been watching and betting too much hockey, but yeah, I got Magomed first round TKO here, and I'm going to be going decently big on him in DraftKings for sure, even though he'll probably be the most used fighter of the card, most likely. So yeah, not much to say about that one, man, but moving on to the next fight, this is an absolute barn burner and my pick for the fight of the night. We got Hakeem Dawodu, minus 325, taking on Danny Henry. Danny Henry plus 265. Man, what can you say about Danny Henry in his last fight, man? He went out there against little tamer and man, Daniel Tamer is he's no slouch at all, man. This dude can strike, and yeah, he whooped Danny Henry's ass in that first round a little bit, but Danny Henry showed the heart of a warrior. He showed amazing cardio. Dude's tough as fuck. Dude has skills of his own too. That's his UFC debut. It is what it is. He pulled out the victory. That, I mean, in my opinion, Little Tamer is better than anybody Hakeem Dawodu has fought. And don't even come at me with Steven Seiler. Steven Seiler is extremely washed. And speaking of Steven Seiler, he was able to get Hakeem Dawodu down a couple times, took his back. Hakeem Dawodu, he's a little overhyped in my opinion. I really do not think he should be minus 325 in this spot. That's absolutely insane. And shout out to my buddy Justin from UFC Bro Picks. He threw down 3 units on Danny Henry here at such an underdog price. So definitely shout out to him. I really hope he catches that. Hakeem Dawodu is the most expensive fighter on DraftKings this week. Danny Henry is the cheapest, though. That's insane to me, man. I'm gonna be playing some Danny Henry and DK for sure. Don't think I want to bet him. I like I said, I'm solid on these 3 picks, and I don't want to really go any other route. So yeah, man, I feel like Hakeem, he probably is the better striker. He probably should win this fight. He probably should outstrike Danny Henry over the course of 3 rounds. But if Hakeem Dawodu comes out looking for that kill shot, throwing everything he can at Danny Henry, and he doesn't get that knockout in the first round, and he kind of slows down a little bit, don't be surprised when Danny Henry pulls off that late finish or a 29-28 decision. I'm just saying, I really think he can do it. So I'm going to go with Hakeem Dawodu via, I'll say he gets it done by a 29-28 decision. I think Henry takes the third, but who knows, man? I think of winning this fight for sure. So yeah, Hakeem's going to be the pick. So moving on to the next fight, man. This is interesting. We got Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts, and here we go. My laptop's freezing up on me. I was waiting for that to happen. We got Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts minus 190, taking on Oliver Enkamp plus 165. Man, yeah, I mean, Danny Roberts being the favorite in this spot, that's understandable. He is the more technical, more talented martial artist in my opinion, but that chin on Danny Roberts, man, he has been wobbled, hurt, on the verge of getting knocked out in every single one of his UFC fights except the Nate Coy fight. He's been wobbled in every single one. That chin, I don't think he can be trusted, man. I would stay away from betting Danny Roberts here. I don't care how much better he is than Oliver Enkamp at this point. You can't trust the chin. And I see people come out here and say Oliver Enkamp has no knockout power. Go watch the regional scene. I've seen him drop dudes with head kicks. I've seen him hurt guys on the feet, man. Oliver Enkamp is no slouch whatsoever. The dude's been doing Muay Thai from what I've seen, he's been doing Muay Thai for about a decade now. He has skills on the feet. He has all the ability to hurt Danny Roberts and finish him in this fight. But that being said, I don't really want to take the underdog shot on Enkamp here just because I don't like betting the less skilled martial artists. So this is just a huge pass for me, man. And shout out to Justin once again. He bet 3 units on Enkamp too, I'm pretty sure. So good luck to him with the 2 very bold underdog predictions there. I feel like Enkamp can hurt Roberts on the feet. And another thing to point out, Enkamp, he was a little undersized for 170 in his UFC debut, but he's taken a lot of time off since then. And he's put on some mass, man. So I feel like he's going to look better than ever. Just a question of will it be enough against the vet Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. And I'm going to go with the underdog pick here, though. I think Danny's chin, I think he's really had enough, man. And that last one against Nordine, that was extremely violent. And the biggest factor to me is he hasn't taken enough time off, man. That was only 3-4 months ago. So I'm going to go with Oliver Enkamp via the upset head kick KO. So moving on to the next fight, man. We got the white Mike Tyson, John Phillips. and he is minus 110, taking on Charles Byrd of Dana White Contender Series. He's also minus 110, so pick 'em fight here, man. And interesting, money has come in on Charles Byrd. He actually opened a plus 120 dog. Was plus 140 at one point. Props if you got that plus 140 on Charles Byrd, because in my opinion, he's the more well-rounded martial artist. He's the more active martial artist, and I think he should be able to hang in there with Phillips on the feet. Phillips has he's got power in his punches, man. That's really what he kind of does. Is he's kind of a headhunter, and he kind of goes out there and looks for the knockout. And in my opinion, if John Phillips doesn't get that first round knockout, he's going to lose this fight. And I like to pick guys like that that don't just have the one way to win, in my opinion. And really, I do think John Phillips is kind of a one-trick pony, and he could go out there and knock out Charles Byrd in the first round. Absolutely, man. There's a reason I haven't bet Byrd, but I feel like Byrd can use this wrestling. John Phillips doesn't have the best wrestling defense in the world, so I think Byrd lands some takedowns a little bit later in the fight, maybe the second round, and eventually pounds Phillips out or locks in that sub. So I'm going to go with the, I don't want to say underdog, but the guy who opened as the underdog. I'm going to go with Charles Byrd here via second round submission. And passing altogether, Charles Byrd on DraftKings might not be the worst play in the world, but definitely passing from a betting perspective. So moving on to the main card here, man. All three of my plays are on this main card, and it starts out with this first fight right here. We got Leon Rocky Edwards minus 220 taking on Peter Sobotta plus 180. And man, this is an awesome fight. Peter Sobotta is a guy I've won money off before, man. With that last fight, I went big on Sobotta. Was that against Ben Saunders? I think that was his last fight. Yeah, absolutely smoked Ben Saunders there. Smoked Nicholas Dalby too, and he was a big underdog there. But I think we know kind of a little bit Nicholas Dalby. I don't want to say Nicholas Dalby has been exposed, but I think that that war against Darren Till really kind of like took a lot out of Nicholas Dalby. And I feel like Nicholas Dalby just, his heart's kind of just not in the game. He was like being trying to be a full-time photographer while also trying to be a full-time fighter. And I could just kind of see the road of mixed martial arts wasn't going to end well for Nicholas Dalby. So I don't hold that win very, very high for Peter Sobotta. And Ben Saunders, I mean, what can you say about Ben Saunders? Look how many times that guy's been knocked out. I mean, and just look at the guy's resume overall. Ben Saunders is, I mean, there's a reason I max bet Alan Jouban against Ben Saunders. Is the guy's old and he's not very good. So, I mean, look at those last two wins. Sure, Sobotta looked amazing, but he's not really beating the best competition. And of course, before that, he got finished in the first round by Kyle Noak via a devastating body kick. And even before that, man, I mean, who is Peter Sobotta's best win? If you really go down his resume, his best win is probably Nicholas Dalby, if we're being honest here. And don't get me wrong, Peter Sobotta has excellent takedowns. He has excellent grappling. He's good ground and pound. He's a strong dude. But I don't think that striking is all that there for him. I don't think Sobotta is has UFC level striking. Now, looking at this guy, Leon Rocky Edwards. So I'm going to quickly go down his UFC run here. So he came in UFC short notice in Brazil, made his debut against Claudio Silva, lost a split decision, which he arguably won. Next fight comes back like a world champ, knocks out Seth Baczynski in 8 seconds. One does not simply get an 8-second knockout in the UFC. And you can say what you want about Seth Baczynski, but man, Seth Baczynski is also a guy who has wins over Neil Magny, Matt Brown. He had one more really good one too. Why am I see? This is the kind of things I get stuck on here, looking at talking fights about Seth Baczynski's best wins. Alex Garcia, he has wins over Alex Garcia, Matt Brown, and Neil Magny, and Leon Edwards knocked him out in 8 seconds. So next fight after that, he smoked Paweł Pawlik, the Polish dude. Lost a decision to Kamaru Usman, who is, I mean, what is he, the most underrated fighter in the UFC right now? And I was there at that fight, man. I mean, Leon Edwards, he hung in there. He just couldn't deal with Usman's wrestling. Next fight, smokes Dominic Waters. Next fight after that, submits Albert Tumanov. Is a pretty big underdog there. Tumanov is one of the scariest guys in MMA, even still today. Next fight, easily his best win, unanimous decision over Vicente Luque, who's looking absolutely phenomenal. Then the last fight, unanimous decision win over Brian Barberina. So, I mean, the level of competition and the wins, in my opinion, of Leon Edwards trumps the level of competition and wins of Peter Sobotta. And it's not even just the resumes, guys. It's stylistically. Leon Edwards, sure, he got taken down, grinded out by another grappler in Kamaru Usman. Peter Sobotta is not Kamaru Usman. Leon Edwards is going to stuff those takedowns with ease because, like I said, Leon Edwards is a guy who is improving his wrestling game himself. And I feel like it's good enough to where he can stuff Sobotta. And on the feet, man, I mean, we're talking about Leon Edwards, in my opinion, one of the most underrated strikers, one of the most underrated boxers in MMA. Peter Sobotta, like I said, his striking is really not that there, man. So I feel like Leon stuffs and comfortably outstrikes, maybe even gets a knockout here. So I easily have Leon Edwards in this matchup, and I do have 4 units on Leon Edwards at -200 to win 2 units. So first bet of the night, Leon Rocky Edwards, and more money's coming on him. He's now -220, so glad I got in on that -200. He was like -180 at one point, but I'm don't get me wrong, I'm still very happy. And we're talking about a Leon Edwards who opened up at -300. Yeah, I mean, I think he opened up at -300 for a reason. So 4 units, Leon Edwards -200. I'm rambling way too much, but on to the next fight here, man. We got Tom Dukan -340 taking on Tarian Ware +280. Not going to talk about this one, man, because I feel like it's really straightforward fight. I don't think either guy's going to be going for takedowns here. I mean, both guys are they're strikers. I just feel like Tom Dukan is in a better spot in his career. He has more left to give. He's younger. He's sharper. He's faster. He hits harder. It's going to be a 3-round striking match where the much more superior striker outstrikes the other guy. And Tom Dukan is going to win this fight via 30-27. Don't want to bet him at -340 for sure. Tarian Ware's a tough dude. There's a reason I bet him against Sean O'Malley. Sure, it didn't work out, but Tarian Ware won a round against Sean O'Malley. So be careful parlaying Tom Dukan at -340 here, in my opinion. But he should win a comfortable decision. I doubt he knocks Tarian Ware out. I mean, Tarian Ware, I don't think he's ever been knocked out. So yeah, I got Tom Dukan here. I think a 30-27 decision. Not going to say that much about this fight, but moving on to the next 2, which I do indeed have bets on. We got Jimmy Manuwa -200 taking on Jan Blachowicz +170. Yeah, man, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, these guys fought before. It was 3 years ago. It was a really boring fight. Jimmy Manuwa won a decision. He outstruck Jan. And I feel like this is a much different fight this time, man. And I feel like the odds are definitely way off. I feel like there's a huge difference between a 35-year-old Jimmy Manuwa who's just getting his feet under him in MMA, who's coming off he came off that Alexander Gustafsson loss in the first Jan fight, but before that, I mean, we're talking about a 14-0 run there. Since that first Jan Blachowicz fight, brutally knocked out against Anthony Rumble Johnson and brutally knocked out by Volkan Oezdemir. And he is indeed coming off that Volkan Oezdemir knockout, and who knows how he's going to look, man. Jan, on the other hand, there is no way you can sit and tell me with a straight face that this man, Jan Blachowicz, has not improved drastically in the octagon, man. I thought he looked everybody and their mom was betting Devin Clark against Jan Blachowicz just because they thought Devin Clark would be able to utilize the wrestling and grind this guy out, because Jan does have holes in his takedown defense. Next fight against Jared Cannonier, he's another underdog there. Comes through with the easy victory. Jan Blachowicz he sharpened his shit up, man. And maybe it was just a fact of when he first came into the UFC, like I mentioned about Dmitry Sosnovski earlier. Maybe he was just kind of transitioning off the Polish supplements and still getting his feet under him. But I feel like he's found his rhythm now. He's on a 2-fight win streak, and I feel like this time he might be able to touch the old chinny chin of Jimmy Manuwa and possibly even knock him out. Maybe win a decision. Who knows? I just feel like Jan's the sharper guy at this point. He's been looking a lot better, and the line is very, very off. I feel like Jan should be a slight favorite here, maybe minus 130, minus 140. So that being said, I put 2 units in Jan Blachowicz at plus 185 to win 3.7. I'm feeling good about this one, guys. I like Jan Blachowicz here a lot. I think he's the best underdog play of the card. And I'm gonna pick him to win via, I'll say, first round knockout. Why the hell not? So yeah, Jan Blachowicz, going to be going big on him in DK. Have the 2-unit bet on him. I think he upsets Jimmy Manuwa in the rematch here. So moving on to the main event of the evening. Finally, we got Fabricio Cavallo Werdum minus 185 taking on Alexander Volkov plus 160. Man, so what can you say? Like I was mentioning earlier, man, this kid Alexander Volkov, he for sure has improved since the Bellator days and the Tony Johnson losing to Tony Johnson days. But man, I mean, we're still talking about Fabricio Werdum here, and I think people have been looking to fade Fabricio Werdum here. And sure, if you faded him twice in his last few fights, he lost the Overeem fight and he lost the Stipe fight. I feel like those are fights he probably shouldn't have lost. He charged in against Stipe, just unnecessarily, just hands down charged in on one of the hardest hitters in the division. He got popped and knocked out. And then I feel like he probably should have been given that decision against Alistair Overeem. Either way, he probably should have fought a little bit smarter there, did a little bit more. But, I mean, we're still talking about a guy who definitely, I mean, even at his age, his skills have not fallen off yet. The guy's still there. I mean, he took the knockout loss against Stipe, but I wholeheartedly believe his chin is still there. So, man, I just feel like the old takedown defense problems of Alexander Volkov will probably show here. I think Fabricio Werdum is going to fight a very smart fight here. I think he will go in for the takedowns against Volkov and not just shooting straight for the takedowns, guys. Fabricio Werdum has sharpened up his striking insanely over the past few years. I mean, look at what he did to Cain Velasquez. I feel like he should be able to hold his own on the feet here, land some good shots, set up the takedowns with the strikes, and then once he gets old Alexander Volkov to the mat, it's just not even going to be close. I think he cuts through him like butter and submits him easily, man. So I feel like the second Werdum gets this fight to the ground, and he will submit Alexander Volkov here. I feel like for Alexander Volkov, it's kind of a first 7-minute knockout or bust situation for him, man. So I got Fabricio Werdum. I will say late first round submission, and I do have 4 units on Fabricio Werdum at minus 190 to win 2.12 units. So there it is, guys. There's my 3 plays. 4 units on Fabricio Werdum minus 190, 4 units on Leon Edwards minus 200, and 2 units on the underdog Jan Blachowicz at plus 185. Feeling good about these ones. Definitely looking to get back on track, and let's do it, guys. So there's the card. Unfortunately, sucks, man. Jack Marshman versus Brad Scott. That would have been a really fun fight. I had Jack there for anybody that cared. I thought he would have probably knocked out Brad Scott, but who knows? I definitely hope that fight gets rebooked, though. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys all watching very, very much. It means a lot that you all still come and watch these videos. I put a lot of work into this, so appreciate you guys very much. And most importantly, enjoy the fights this weekend.